You beauty! Oh, Tesalenko, you beauty! Hello, my name's Chris Quinlan and welcome to the grand final special of Melbourne Musos Facechook Live. Did you know that I was actually in the members stand on the members side? It was right there and I've gone, ah! I was 10 years old and I never got invited back to the Melbourne members ever again. Hey! Oh, do shut that boy up, will you? Another G&T. Hey, as I said, this is Melbourne Musos Facechook Live and I'm wearing all the wrong colours for tomorrow. Hey! Oh, I'm all straddled up with my scarf. Ooh, I'll get rid of that because I'll probably get a little bit hot and I'll get all tied up. Hey! There you are. Hey! So, grand final. Ooh. What does this have to do with drums? What can happen? I'm going to talk about different things. I'm going to talk about footy themes and where they come from and where they're going to. And may the best team win for tomorrow. Blue Baggers for 2023, I reckon. Ooh! And a big shout out to a certain Mr. Cripps for taking out the Brownlow. There you go. Ha! There you go. All right, let's get into it. All right. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to go through a couple of the themes and what you can do with them and how you can move beats around, how you can sort of get little dubs and little different things, remixes and all this. And let's just start with good old da 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 da. Hello, audience. And then nice little shuffle, yeah? The team that never lets you down. They're the only team. So nice little shuffle. Pop the little accent in there. But what happens? And what happens if we did something a little bit different? Now this is a shuffle. So what you've got, shuffles are based on triplets. People should know these things. So it's like 1 under, 2 under, 3 under, 4 under. Take out the and then you're left, instead of 1 atu, sounds like someone needs to say Gesundheit, but say ta. 1 tatu, ta 3, ta 4, ta 1, ta 2, ta 3, ta 4, ta 1, ta 2, ta 3, ta 4, ta 1. Yeah. Shuffles are deceptively tricky for the young student because everything up until then is pretty much an even beat. 1, 1, and 2. I'll start again. Oh, I was going to do crotchets. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you morph them into quavers. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then you go into blues. It could either be done as triplets, 1 under, 2 under, 3 under, 4 under, or it could be 12/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And what starts to happen is that all of that's even beats. It just depends on what beat you're playing. But the shuffle is usually the first one, where the students have to sort of contend with long, short, long, short, long, short, long. So there you go. So 1, ba, ba, da, da. But what happens if we start to take grand old themes and change it around a little bit? Let's do a remix version. Straight. Now that's the doof version. We are the Navy. So you can do different things. Now what happens is that the beat itself is a triplet. Oh, it can be like 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, but underneath, a lot of people call that the Liverpool jangle. It's one of the little secret weapons of the Beatles in the early days, where you might have Ringo doing a hard shuffle, and everyone else is playing straight. It comes across like a 3 against 2 polyrhythm, which is one of the things that I often talk about, and that's what you have, you see. If you go, and fancy doing that with a Carlton theme song. One of the other things I like doing is let's turn it Carlton in on the footy trip to New Orleans. Hang on. Butchering on my own. Sorry, Captain Carlton. There you go. So that's what you can sort of do with anything, really. I take lots of material. Instead of just using the metronome click, 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 sometimes I just do samples and you play to the samples. Like Marley barking in the background. Arf, arf, arf. He's not shutting up. He wants to be part of the action. I've got the door locked. I'm going to put up with it. So what happens is that's what goes on. Now, what can we do with this stuff? Oh. Cut time. What happens is whoop. The hot potato version. I just lost the beat in there. I'm sorry about that. My apologies, but I'll get it back. I'll buy it back. Okay, so what happens there is that you've got a cut time. And then you can have what's known as a Boogaloo pattern. And then, oh, why not again? death metal version now. There you go. So that's what happens there. Now, one of the things that can go on with that's the Boogaloo. I first heard that through Billy Cobham, Spectrum album. And I mentioned that the other week. There it is. Oh, I'm just mucking around now. Oh, yeah. So what happens then? How about if you're in the bush? Oh! How about if we do this? Hang on a minute here. Let me get this going. You hear the trains are rolling around the bend. I ain't seen no sunshine since I don't know when. Johnny Cash, I don't know if he barracked for Geelong or not. But, train beat.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all.
Yahoo!
We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played. And home or far away. Our banners fly high from door to door. Down at Cadelia Park.
And that's a train beat used in lots of country and western songs. The reason it's called a train beat, Johnny Cash is famous for his train beat, is because you got the trains, during the times of the Depression, American Depression, and you'd be on the tracks, you'd be hop a freight to get to different towns to try and find work, and you'd have that boom, boom. You'd have that the train. Who remembers The Littlest Hobo? I did a show on that a couple of years ago. And you got that kind of, the dog that went from town to town, The Littlest Hobo. It's in the 60s. Had this wonderful starting out brush pattern. So you had that. And what you do there is you got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And it's not exactly a shuffle like triplets. Not really, but it's got a little bit of a lilt to it, a little spike. So you get. Hear a train rolling down the bend. I ain't seen no sunshine since I don't know when. I go for some prison down in Geelong. Oh, there you go. So that's the Geelong theme song. Oh, the cats. Oh, in the cattery, mate. Oh, there you go. Cadelia Park. And then what happens is that with these kinds of things, you can take anything. You can take any kind of sample or patch or whatever it might be, and then use it like a kind of a perverted metronome. And because it's grand final weekend, why not put it to footy themes? There you go. Now what I'll do now, of course, I'm going to go to... It's sort of a familiar kind of format, isn't it? Onward to victory. Now what I did with that one, it's very similar to the Geelong theme song, except a bit quicker. So I thought I'd go down the track of Bebop. Yeah. Now, what do you do with that one? Bebop Jazz. What happens is that in post-World War II, what happens is, during the 20s, right through to the end of the war, World War II in 1995, pretty much big band jazz reigned supreme. You had all the champions, that kind of Benny Goodman, Artie Shaw, the Dorsey brothers, lots of people. And what happens is that post-World War II, you had people like Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie start to forge their way into a thing that they ended up calling bebop. Fast, frenetic. And there you go, and then drummers like Max Roach and Art Blakey and people like that. And basically, Kenny Clarke was one of the first ones. He sort of went out of the limelight a little bit because he moved to Paris and made good there. But really the hub was New York, so, there's that kind of thing. And the much remembered people like Max Roach, it's like he could cut himself in half with independence. That kind of is. And what happens is when you're doing the Sydney Swans, still at cut time. I get sacked for that. So there you go, you got jazz bebop. So I'll slow it down a little bit just to explain it. What happens is one of the most important things. Hi-hat 2 and 4, the hi-hat. Art Blakey was great. I used to love some of his quotes. You got to make a mistake, make it loud. And he was loud. He was, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. He could be very bombastic, but whenever I listened to him, it's so fantastic. I had a bombasm. A bit more. We'll bring it up. Keep it clean. Jokes too, plus a plane. Now. Now, do you notice with that right hand? Wrist stroke and finger control. And now let me talk about that. See, what happens is when I'm actually playing at that kind of a tempo, it's not quite into, prestissimo or anything like that. You've got that kind of, and it's kind of a up down. It's kind of vipping, the vip stroke, but in backwards. You see, normally a vipping stroke would be 1 and a 2 and a down, up, down, up. But when you're playing jazz, you really want 2 and 4. Like if you're always just playing on 1 all the time, you'll bring the swing down a little bit. So you get that 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 1, 2 to 3, 4, 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 1. Vip, vip, da 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 da. Bring it up. And one of the things I love about this particular ride cymbal, it's a 20-inch Benny Greb sand ride, is that it's 20, so I can sort of crash it as well. Oh, bombastic, mate. Oh. But now I have some history for you. What we have here is when we're dealing with that, Pretty much the same, the two teams. I wonder if they'll all sing it together at the end. They're kind of a mosh, that kind of thing. Oh, he's still going in the background there, my God. He wants to be part of the action. So when you're putting both that... I'm confused at what team it is. And there you go. But what goes on is these theme songs have a little bit of history to them, which I will explain now. What goes on is that many of our tunes come from old songs, okay? Now, because I'm going... We are the Navy Blues. Now, Lily of Laguna.
My
Lady Love.
is my dog, my baby love. She's
Yodeling.
persistent down the stream. She's the only queen Laguna knows. I know you like me. I know you like me because you said so. She is the lily of Laguna. She is the lily and a rose.
Whoa, Lily of Laguna. And Leslie Stewart was the author of that. And then when you're doing Geelong, that's a Toreador song by Georges Bizet. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do. Who remembers, this is for real old timers, use a roller door, that's what they're for. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Roller door. This thing, they used to use the same thing there. Hey! There it is, that's the Toreador song by Georges Bizet. Not George. They wanted to do the plural. Georges Bizet, a very famous composer. And the Sydney Swans one. Notre Dame Victory March. How's that? Probably a lot slower. Victory. There it is. Oh, now let me talk about the history of why we sing the songs we sing that are so passionate on this particular Aussie weekend. Is because of a company called Fable Records. And there's a little bit, there's the history part of the evening. And what you have is, there's a very famous record company, Fable Records, put together by Ron Tudor. And one of the things about this, I'll read a little bit of history. A lot of people might remember all this business. Fable Records was an Australian independent record company which operated from 1970 to 1984, not that long. It was one of the most successful and productive Australian indie labels of the period, issuing over 300 singles and dozens of EPs and LPs. Fable made a significant initial impact in Australia in 1970-71, scoring a string of hits by new Australian artists, and throughout its history, the company discovered and promoted local talent. Good on them. Fable enjoyed further success between 1972 and 1975 through its subsidiary label Bootleg Records, which racked up a string of hit albums and singles by artists including Brian Cadd, the Bootleg Family Band. Coxie from the Roxy used to play in that band. And Kerry Bedell. Who remembers Kerry? She was wonderful. And I'm sure she still is. I hope she's still with us. Anyway, and they did so many different things. And down here, this is what I wanted to read a little bit there. They did a lot of little things, comedy recordings, all sorts of stuff. They did a chipmunk version of Daddy Cool and a piano version of In the Summertime by film critic and honky-tonk piano virtuoso Ivan Hutchinson, Who remembers Ivan Hutchinson on Channel 7, Penthouse Club? He was their musical director, he was the movie reviewer, and by all accounts, he was an absolute gent. I remember when I was a kid, I sent in a letter to Two on the Aisle, the movie review show that he was part of, and asked him about James Bond, and I got a wonderful letter back from him. I'd lost it in many moons and moves ago, but he was just a gent, and he was just wonderful. Now, the reason I'm talking about Ivan Hutchinson is because along with a chap by the name of John Caddy, I'll just read from the Fable Label. They used to call it the Fable Label. Fable also had a long association with the Victorian Football League, VFL, now AFL, beginning in 1972. I sort of thought it was a bit earlier than that, but there you go. When it released a series of officially authorised VFL football club songs, adapted from standards, and I've just shown you 3. There you go. And these were widely played in the 1970s at matches and on TV and radio broadcast. In 1975, Fable artist Mike Brady released Up There Kazali, which we'll probably have to all sing tomorrow, which effectively became the VFL anthem, reaching #1 on the Australian charts and selling over 250,000 copies, count 'em. Becoming the most successful Australian single ever released up to that time and earning it a place in the Guinness Book of Records. There you have it. All right, that's the Fable Label, and there you go. I better start wrapping the show up. And what goes on here is just a little thing about how you can, like if I'm going to take in the day, you know, like of course Captain Carlton's up here sort of thing. I've got Blue Baggers 2023. Oh, we just missed out. Oh, damn. But next week. But Mr. Cripps, he got the brown line. And there you go. But what happens is always next year. But the thing is, we all sort of become football fanatics, at least for a day. And one of the things, I'm just trying to patch that into what is really a drum tip show here with Facechookeries. And what it is how you can take themes like that and pervert them and do different things with them, you see. And their tradition of where they come from, okay? So like with Carlton, Lily of Laguna and all this sort of is. And as well as that, what I love doing is taking a sample of something and then playing to it. And then you can sample it, put it in, do different things with it. So, of course, one of the greatest of grand finals is this.
To the wing position on the member-stand side.
Listen to the voice.
To the wing position on the member-stand
Michael
side.
Williamstown. Bit chipmunky.
To the wing position on the member-stand side.
Chipmunk-like.
To the wing position on the member-stand side. To the wing position on the member-stand side.
12-8.
To the wing
1,
position on the
2,
member-stand
3,
side.
4. 1, 2,
To the wing position
3.
on the member-stand side.
Okay.
To the wing position on the member-stand side. 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 To the wing position on the member-stand side.
Let go, you guilty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. So you see, get the frame of the voice. Oh, I suppose this is where I love and leave you. My name is Chris Quinlan, and this is Melbourne Musos Facechook Live, the grand final edition. I'll have this up for you hopefully tonight, actually, before the big day tomorrow. And hope your side wins. And there you go. And don't forget where all the songs come from. Oh, What a show. Hey, never let you down. I'm off. Oh, da da da.
Position on the left stand side.